So the Egyptians said the sun is pure energy, and it's giving its energy so that we might live. So God's Son is giving his life that you might live. Of course the sun's giving its life. It's giving its energy so that you can grow and the plants can grow. And once you begin to understand religion, where it comes from, the whole story of Jesus is nothing more than a metaphor. These are metaphors for something far deeper that the ancient writers were trying to tell you in a metaphor. There's a symbolic story. And if you don't get the symbolism, you will go for your whole life in trouble because you didn't know how to read the symbols. You don't know what's really going on behind the scenes.
They just tried to delete this video 3 times. If you're seeing this, you may have less than 24 hours before it's gone forever. What if I told you there's a single line of text hidden in an ancient manuscript for over 2,000 years that contains the mathematical formula for bending reality? Not a metaphor, a precise instruction. The Vatican locked in their secret archives because it works. The book is called the Corpus Hermeticum. When Cosimo de' Medici, one of the richest men in history, got his hands on it in 1460, he stopped everything. Wars, political deals, business negotiations. He had it translated immediately, and within 6 months, the Medici family's wealth doubled. Coincidence? Newton studied it in secret. Tesla had a copy on his deathbed. Jung called it the most dangerous knowledge ever written. Today, quantum physicists are proving what it claimed 2,000 years ago, that consciousness reshapes matter at the subatomic level. Right now, 99.9% of humanity is broadcasting their energy randomly, like a broken radio signal, wondering why life feels chaotic. Meanwhile, billionaires, world leaders, and tech moguls are using these hermetic principles to architect reality, while you're told it's just hard work or luck. On page 47 of the original manuscript, translators deliberately altered a line. The safe public version says, "As above, so below." Harmless, right? The real translation reads, "That which is within you is of the same nature as that which shapes all things. To know it and to will it is to move the world." Read that again. To move the world. This isn't philosophy, it's a lever. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you the exact energy manipulation technique hidden in that line, the same one hedge fund managers use before billion-dollar trades, and pro athletes use to enter the zone. Once you understand how to consciously broadcast your energy field, you can't go back to being a victim of circumstance. You become fully responsible for the reality you're creating, and most people can't handle that truth. If you're still here, you're ready. The truth is, every system you see was first imagined, then willed into being by someone who knew how to shape energy. For centuries, this knowledge was reserved for initiates, hidden in temples, coded in symbols, and disguised in religious texts. Most of history's chosen had to swear oaths before even reading it. Inside the Corpus Hermeticum is a staggering claim. Your mind is not confined to your skull. Your emotions are not trapped inside your body. Every thought and feeling radiates into a field of energy that connects everything. And that field reflects your signal back as experiences, opportunities, and people. You already use this field every day. The difference is, without awareness, your power scatters in 100 directions, easily overridden by louder, stronger broadcasts. The elite condense their energy into a coherent beam, focused, deliberate, unstoppable. This book was never meant as casual philosophy. It's an instruction manual, how to align your inner frequency so precisely that the outer world must align with it. How to charge each breath with intent, so every inhale and exhale becomes an act of creation. How to strip static from your field, so yesterday's noise can't drag you down. Imagine walking into a room and watching people subtly adjust their tone, posture, and offers, because your energy pulls them into your orbit. Imagine facing a problem and feeling the pieces click into place without force or struggle. That's not luck. That's skill. To master it, you have to see where it came from and why it was hidden. The origin story of the corpus hermeticum isn't just history. It's a map showing who has held this power and how they've kept it. We're about to follow that map back to the source, to the moment this knowledge was first recorded and the long chain of hands it passed through. When you see it, the question won't be whether the elite hid it from you, but why they can't stop you from using it now. The banned line that changes everything. This single verse can shift your energy field instantly, and it was scrubbed from translations for centuries. On the surface, it doesn't sound dangerous. It doesn't curse kings or name conspirators. But if you understand what it's saying, you understand how to step outside the grip of anyone trying to control you. And that, more than anything, is why it had to be buried. It comes from one of the dialogues in the Corpus Hermeticum, where Hermes Trismegistus is describing the nature of the universe to a student. In the cleaned-up, publicly acceptable translations, the phrase is softened to something like, "As within, so without. As above, so below." Pretty enough to print on a coffee mug. But in the older manuscripts, the ones not polished for public consumption, the line is sharper. That which is within you is of the same nature as that which shapes all things. To know it and to will it is to move the world. Read it again, slower. That which is within you is of the same nature as that which shapes all things. That's not poetry. That's a statement of energetic law. It's telling you that the spark animating you is made of the same substance, the same current that animates the entire cosmos. And if you know this, not just believe it, but experience it, and then will with it, you're no longer a passive observer. You become a cause. Think about what that means. Every thought you hold with conviction, every image you burn into your awareness, is not a private fantasy. It's a command to the very field of energy that underlies reality. And when your command matches the frequency of that field, reality obeys. Not because you're special, but because you've stopped scattering your signal and started transmitting in alignment with the source itself. This is the part that makes gatekeepers sweat. If everyone knew this, the power structures we take for granted would dissolve almost overnight. No one can be controlled for long once they realize the game is running on their own energy. And if enough people stopped feeding that energy into the systems designed to harvest it, the systems collapse. So what did the censors do? They left a version of the phrase that was vague, reversible, safe. As above, so below can be reduced to a pleasant metaphor about harmony. But to know it and to will it is to move the world, is actionable. It tells you there's a lever, and you already have your hand on it. Here's the dangerous truth embedded in that sentence. The knowing isn't intellectual. You can read the words 100 times and nothing will change. The knowing comes from direct personal experience, the moment you feel the current that flows from you into the world, and from the world back into you. And the willing isn't wishing. It's focused intent, clear enough and sustained enough to impress itself into the field until the field responds. In Hermetic practice, these two, knowing and willing, are the twin poles of creation. Without knowing, your will is blind. Without will, your knowing is inert. But together, they form what the initiates called the royal art, conscious participation in the making of reality. Imagine a sculptor standing before a block of marble. The marble is the raw energy of the universe. The sculptor's vision, clear in their mind, felt in their body, is the knowing. The chisel and hammer are the will. Every strike is a signal to the stone. This is the shape you will take. Over time, the form emerges, not by accident, but by the persistence of vision and the discipline of action. That's what this banned line is handing you. Your life, your circumstances, your opportunities, your relationships, these are the marble. Your inner state and your intent are the sculptor's tools. And if you learn to hold them with precision, the statue that emerges is exactly what you've chosen. This is why the old masters guarded their teachings so carefully. Not because they wanted to hoard all the good things for themselves, though many did, but because they understood that a mind untrained in focus could will chaos just as easily as beauty. A scattered mind sends mixed commands. The field answers all of them. The result? A life that feels random, unpredictable, unstable. The elite don't leave their reality to chance. They practice the knowing and the willing until it becomes second nature. They guard their state the way a warrior guards their weapon, and they make sure the rest of the world forgets it even has one. Now here's the catch. Knowing and willing are simple, but they're not easy. And before you can use them to move the world, you have to clear the static from your own field. Because if your signal is clouded by emotional residue, old patterns, or other people's projections, your will is sending two messages at once. The one you want, and the one your unprocessed energy is broadcasting on its own. That's why, before we go any further, you need to know how to seal your field against interference, and how to sweep it clean, so your command to reality is pure, strong, and unmistakable. That's where the real work begins. All is mind, all is energy. Your thoughts aren't private, they radiate into the universe, sculpting matter. That might sound poetic, maybe even mystical, but the corpus hermeticum treats it as the most basic law of existence. In fact, it's the foundation that everything else in hermetic energy work stands on. All is mind. The universe itself is mental in nature. Energy and matter are simply mind expressing itself in different densities. And here's where the as above, so below cliché finally makes sense. If all is mind, then the above, the source field, the invisible patterns, and the below, the physical world, are two layers of the same process. Change the pattern, and the expression changes. The field doesn't resist your influence, it responds to it. The only question is, are you influencing it on purpose, or letting it be influenced for you? Think about something as ordinary as a radio. It doesn't create the music. It tunes into a frequency, and that frequency determines what you hear. Your mind works the same way. The field around you is humming with infinite possibilities, every station broadcasting at once. Your dominant thoughts, emotions, and beliefs are the tuning dial. And whether you realize it or not, you've been locked on a certain station for most of your life. Now here's the part that gets uncomfortable. You're not the only one touching that dial. Your upbringing, your culture, the media you consume, the people you spend time with, they've all been adjusting your frequency since before you knew you had one. And if they can shape the frequency, they can shape what reality you tune into. This is why Hermetic masters guarded their minds like fortresses. They understood that the field doesn't differentiate between a thought you've chosen and one that's been planted. It just takes the strongest signal and amplifies it into your experience. And if your strongest signal is fear, doubt, resentment, or despair, guess what patterns start showing up in your physical world? When the corpus hermeticum says all is mind, it's not handing you a slogan. It's telling you the key to the entire mechanism. If the universe is mental, then the mind is the workshop where reality is shaped. And here's the second half of the law, the part implied but rarely spoken. All mind is energy, which means every thought is a pulse, every emotion a wave, moving through the field and colliding with other waves until they take form. If you've ever walked into a room after two people have been arguing, you know this without needing a textbook. You can feel the charge in the air, the heaviness, the sharpness. Nothing physical has touched you, but your body reacts as if it has. That's energy. And the same is true when you meet someone radiating joy or confidence. The field they're broadcasting pulls you toward it, shifts you, sometimes without a word being spoken. The Hermetic masters didn't see this as magic. They saw it as mechanics. If you want to change what you're experiencing below, you have to deliberately generate a new pattern above, in your thoughts, your feelings, your inner state. And that means two things. You must become aware of what you're broadcasting now. You must protect that broadcast from being jammed, hijacked, or scrambled. Because here's the trap. Even if you start generating a clear, intentional signal, the field is crowded. There are currents of fear, anger, distraction, and desire constantly flowing through it. Some are random, many are engineered. And if your energy field is full of holes, if you're carrying unprocessed emotions, chronic stress, or other people's projections, those currents slip right in and start broadcasting through you. It's like trying to send a crystal clear message on a walkie-talkie while standing in the middle of a thunderstorm. The static drowns out your voice. And in hermetic practice, that static is exactly what prevents people from seeing results. It's not that the laws don't work, it's that your signal is getting scrambled before it reaches the field. So before you start sculpting reality with intent, you have to seal your field. You have to sweep it clean of residue. This isn't optional. It's the difference between being the architect of your reality and being a relay station for everyone else's. And this is where the old texts get practical, something the modern summaries almost never explain. The masters didn't just meditate and hope for the best. They practiced energy hygiene the way a warrior sharpens a blade. Breath work, visualization, specific postures, and mental commands were all part of it. These weren't rituals in the superstitious sense. They were maintenance. Once you understand all is mind, all is energy, you see why this maintenance matters. You realize that every thought and feeling is not just personal, it's a construction material. And if your building materials are mixed with debris, your creation will be unstable from the start. When Hermes Trismegistus taught these principles thousands of years ago, he called them laws, not beliefs. Laws work whether you believe in them or not, but only those who master them get the results. Today, science is finally catching up, confirming what Hermes described in the Corpus Hermeticum and Emerald Tablet. And when you look around, you can see the difference everywhere. Some people move through life with ease, bending circumstances to their will. And others fight uphill, never realizing they're breaking the very laws that could save them. Let's break them down and see both sides in action. Law 1, all is mind. Hermes said, that which is in the mind of the all is the universe. Everything starts as thought, even matter. Science says, all matter is energy, and energy follows patterns. Thoughts are information, and information shapes patterns. Winner. The investor who mentally rehearses a deal's success before walking into the room. Their tone, posture, and timing all line up, and the deal closes. Loser. The same investor worrying about losing. Their handshake is limp, their voice wavers, their questions sound defensive. The room feels it. Energy control test. Before your next important interaction, run the golden breath switch and feed one clear thought into it. Act as if it's already in motion. Law 2. The observer effect. Knowing shapes the clay. Hermes. Mind moves matter as surely as the hand moves clay. Science says, in the double-slit experiment, observation changes a particle's behavior from infinite possibilities to one outcome. Winner. The performer who steps on stage already seeing the applause in their mind's eye. Their body relaxes, their timing is sharp, and the crowd responds. Loser. The performer obsessing over forgetting their lines. The moment they walk out, the fear becomes real. They stumble and confirm the very outcome they feared. Energy control test. Pick a task you're doing today. See yourself finishing it perfectly before you start. That image is the chisel shaping the clay. Law 3, correspondence. As above, so below. Hermes meant this literally. The pattern in the unseen dictates the pattern in the seen. Science says your reticular activating system, RAS, filters the billions of inputs you receive, highlighting only what matches your inner state. Winner. The entrepreneur who starts the day focusing on solutions. All morning they spot possibilities others miss. Loser. The one who wakes up scanning for problems and coincidentally finds them everywhere. Energy control test. Tomorrow morning, decide the inner pattern you want. calm, curiosity, momentum, and watch your environment mirror it back. Law 4. Vibration. Hermes. Nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. Science says, HeartMath research proves your heart's electromagnetic field changes instantly with your emotional state, and others nearby synchronize with it. Winner. The team leader who takes 3 slow breaths before a tense meeting, enters grounded, and watches the room settle. Loser. The leader who storms in with visible frustration, the team's stress spikes instantly. Energy control test. Before entering a room, choose the emotion you want to dominate. Hold it in your breath for 60 seconds. Watch how others mirror it. Law 5. Polarity. Hermes. Opposites are the same in nature, differing only in degree. Science says emotional states are fluid. Reframing can flip fear into excitement, frustration into determination. Winner. The athlete who channels pre-game nerves into laser focus, treating adrenaline as fuel. Loser. The athlete who interprets the same feeling as anxiety and freezes when it matters most. Energy control test. When you feel a negative charge today, name it, then ask, what's the useful version of this? Shift into that state using 1 breath cycle. Law 6. Rhythm. Hermes. All things rise and fall. Science says rhythmic breath, in for 4, out for 4, synchronizes your heart and brain into coherence. Winner. The speaker who pauses intentionally, letting their words land. Loser. The speaker who rushes to fill silence, bleeding authority with every extra word. Energy control test. In your next conversation, slow your breathing and your speech. Watch others unconsciously match your tempo. Law 7. Cause and effect. Hermes. Every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. Science says, feedback loops amplify what you put into the system. Winner. The artist who plants 1 seed thought daily, a vision of their work in the world, and waters it with consistent action. Loser. The artist who waits for inspiration and lets weeks pass without broadcasting any cause into the field. Energy control test. Tonight, decide 1 seed you'll plant tomorrow. Hold it in mind during your breath practice, then act as if it's already germinating. Hermes told his students, test these laws, and you will not doubt them. The difference between those who shape reality and those who are shaped by it comes down to this. The winners apply the laws, consciously, daily, deliberately. The losers break them, unconsciously, randomly, and often. Now that you've seen both sides, the question is simple. Which side will you operate from tomorrow? And once you can apply these laws to yourself, the next step is learning how to project them into the collective field, so you can walk into any room and set the energetic tone for everyone in it. So the next step, the one that will decide whether your knowing and willing can actually move the world, is learning to create what I call the energy firewall method. It's a shield and a filter in one. It seals the cracks in your field, blocks intrusive signals, and ensures that what you project into the field is pure and deliberate. And once you know how to build that firewall, you'll wonder how you ever lived without it. The energy firewall method. Most people's energy field is full of holes, and they wonder why life feels chaotic. They try to set intentions, they practice visualization, they even repeat affirmations until they're blue in the face. And yet, their results are inconsistent. Sometimes things click, sometimes everything unravels. They think the problem is their mindset or their luck, but in reality, it's their field, their leaking power. Imagine your energy field as a luminous sphere surrounding you. It's more than a metaphor. Science has measured electromagnetic fields extending several feet from the human body. In hermetic terms, this is your auric shield, your personal interface with the field of creation. Ideally, it's whole, radiant, and coherent. But for most people, it's full of tiny fractures and tears, created by stress, emotional trauma, constant distraction, and exposure to other people's chaotic broadcasts. Here's the danger. Energy flows through the path of least resistance. If your field has openings, it's like having unguarded doors in a fortress wall. Any stray current can drift in. Other people's moods, collective fear, even thought forms engineered to keep you distracted, anxious, or compliant. And just as bad, your own intentions leak out before they can take form, dissipating into the noise of the larger field. The energy firewall method is how you seal those doors and set a clear perimeter. It's not about hiding from the world, it's about ensuring that what's inside your field is your choice, and what leaves your field is intentional. This is the foundational layer of all hermetic energy work. Without it, everything else you do is compromised. Step 1. The grounding lock. Stand or sit with your spine straight. Close your eyes. Imagine roots extending from the base of your spine and the soles of your feet deep into the earth, anchoring you to a vast, steady reservoir of energy. Feel gravity pulling gently on you, holding you in place. This isn't just visualization. Your nervous system responds to these grounding cues, shifting you out of scattered, anxious states into coherent, present awareness. Step 2. The breath seal. Place your hands just below your navel. Inhale slowly through your nose to a count of 4, imagining golden light filling your entire body. Hold for a count of 4, allowing that light to expand beyond your skin, forming a radiant sphere around you. Exhale through your mouth to a count of 4, imagining that sphere becoming denser, more impenetrable. Repeat this for at least 3 cycles. Each breath is both fuel and instruction. Your body takes in oxygen, and your field takes in intent. Step 3. The perimeter command. Now, with your sphere clear in your mind, speak a simple phrase, either out loud or internally. In Hermetic practice, the exact words matter less than the conviction behind them. One I use is, "Only energies aligned with my highest purpose may enter. All others are reflected back to their source." As you say this, feel your perimeter lock into place, like a shield snapping closed. Step 4. The mirror layer. This is the firewall's reflective surface. Visualize the outer edge of your sphere becoming a mirror. Anything that touches it and is not in alignment is instantly sent back to where it came from. You're not attacking. You're not fighting off. You're simply refusing to host anything that isn't yours. This one step alone stops a massive amount of energetic clutter from ever getting in. Step 5. The daily refresh. Energy hygiene isn't one and done. Just as you wouldn't shower once and expect to stay clean forever, your firewall needs maintenance. Each morning, run through this sequence: grounding lock, breath seal, perimeter command, mirror layer, before engaging with the day. If you feel drained or agitated later, refresh it in under a minute. Over time, it becomes second nature. What you'll notice is subtle at first. Less emotional turbulence from other people's moods, a sense of space around you, more consistency in how your intentions play out. Then, something bigger, a sense of sovereignty. The field is yours again. You decide what enters, what leaves, and how it all flows. And here's the bonus effect most people don't anticipate. When your field is sealed, your signal to the larger field is cleaner. Your intentions hit with more force because they're not bleeding into static. The universe responds more directly because it's finally getting a clear instruction. In the old Hermetic schools, students weren't allowed to attempt higher forms of manifestation or transmutation until their field was consistently sealed. Why? Because without that integrity, they'd be trying to build a cathedral on a cracked foundation. The energy firewall method trademark is that foundation. Once it's in place, you can work with currents of energy most people can't touch without getting swept away. And that's exactly what we're going to do next, because protection is only half the game. The real mastery comes when you can take the energy that once knocked you off balance and transform it into raw power for your own creations. That's the secret the elite have never stopped using. Transmutation. Dark to light transmutation. Loop trademark. The elite don't avoid negative energy, they harvest it. They don't run from setbacks, criticism, or conflict. They use them as fuel. This is one of the most closely guarded aspects of Hermetic practice. And it's the difference between people who merely protect their field and those who can actually use any current to their advantage. Transmutation is the alchemy of the mind. In the physical world, alchemy was about turning lead into gold. In the Hermetic tradition, it's about turning dense, heavy, chaotic energy into refined, usable power. And here's the truth they don't teach you. Negative energy is just raw energy, with a frequency that doesn't serve you until you change it. The Corpus Hermeticum never says banish or destroy unwanted energy. It says transmute. Why? Because the field of creation doesn't care about labels like good or bad. It responds to charge. The same way a battery powers a light, whether it's charged in joy or anger. Energy is energy. The difference is what you do with it once it's in your hands. Think about a time someone criticized you or underestimated you. The initial reaction is almost always contraction. You feel your chest tighten, your mind flood with defense or doubt. That's the raw energy arriving in your field. Most people either let it leak into them and settle like a toxin, or they throw it back out, amplifying the chaos. Transmutation is the third option. Take it in, refine it, send it out as something entirely different. The dark to light transmutation loop is how you do it. Step 1. Acknowledge without absorbing. When the wave of negative energy hits, whether it's an argument, a setback, or your own intrusive thoughts, don't pretend it's not there. Denial is just slow absorption. Instead, name it in your mind. This is frustration. This is doubt. This is fear. Naming it keeps you conscious and prevents you from unconsciously taking it on as mine. Step 2. Redirect into the heart center. Place your attention in the center of your chest, just behind your breastbone. This is more than symbolic. Your heart's electromagnetic field is the most powerful generator in your body. Imagine the incoming energy as a dark current being drawn into that center. Feel it pause there, held in a kind of suspension. Step 3. Infuse with intention. Now, breathe deeply into the heart space. On each inhale, imagine drawing in golden light from above and below, the infinite field above, the grounding energy of the earth below. On each exhale, see that golden light weaving through the dark current, changing its structure. In Hermetic terms, you are altering its vibratory rate, aligning it with your chosen frequency, love, clarity, courage, whatever serves the moment. Step 4. Project back as power. When the energy feels lighter, and you will feel it, send it outward on your next exhale, radiating through your entire field. If the original current came from another person or situation, you're not sending it back as an attack. You're releasing it into the larger field as something usable for all, no longer a weapon or a weight. Step 5. Loop it until neutral. Some charges are stubborn. Keep cycling the dark current through your heart's golden filter until you feel no contraction, no sting. You'll know you've completed the loop when you can think of the event or person without your body tensing. That's the sign the energy is yours now, and it's clean. The effect of this loop is twofold. It prevents the energy from settling into your field as a contaminant, and it turns it into fuel for whatever you choose next. Imagine taking the raw force of an insult and using it to power a creative breakthrough, or channeling the stress from a financial scare into the clarity and focus that lands you a new opportunity. This isn't just positive thinking, it's energetic Aikido, using the momentum of the incoming force to your advantage. The elite have always understood this. Watch closely, and you'll notice they don't flinch when challenged. They absorb the moment, process it, and within days or weeks, they've pivoted it into something that advances their position. The public sees resilience or confidence. What's really happening is disciplined transmutation. Here's the deeper secret. The more you practice this loop, the less you fear so-called negative situations. You stop wasting energy avoiding discomfort, and you start moving toward it with the calm certainty that whatever arrives can be turned into something useful. And the moment you stop fearing the dark currents, you become unpredictable to those who rely on them to control you. Once your field is sealed and you've mastered the loop, you're ready for the next stage. Not just defending or recycling energy, but sculpting reality itself with deliberate, sustained intent. And to do that, you need the most precise tool in the Hermetic arsenal, the golden breath switch. Because when knowing and willing merge with breath, the carrier of life itself, you stop waiting for reality to shift and start commanding it to. The golden breath switch. Every breath you take is a chance to rewrite the world around you. The Hermetic masters knew it. The yogis of the East knew it. And the most adept among the elite have always known it. Breath is the carrier of life force. The ancients called it pneuma, prana, spiritus, not as metaphor, but as the literal bridge between the unseen and the seen. In the Corpus Hermeticum, there's an often overlooked passage that says, "The mind commands, the breath carries, the body obeys." That single line is a blueprint. Your mind is the architect, your breath is the delivery system, your body is the instrument, and reality in Hermetic understanding is simply the mirror of that process. Here's why this matters. Thought alone is powerful, but it's often scattered. Emotion alone is powerful, but it's often volatile. Breath is the switch that fuses the two into a coherent, directed signal that the field can't ignore. Think of your mind like a light bulb. Without current, it just sits there. The breath is the current. It animates, lights, and projects. And the golden breath switch is the method of turning that current on with precision, so you're not just breathing automatically, you're breathing creation into form. Step 1. The still point. Before you can switch anything on, you need 0. Sit or stand with your spine tall. Bring your attention inward and simply notice your natural breath. Don't try to change it yet. This moment of observation is important. It signals your system that you are shifting from unconscious to conscious control. In Hermetic practice, awareness itself is the first act of creation. Step 2. The inhale command. Inhale slowly through your nose to a count of 4. As you do, visualize golden light pouring in from above your head, filling your mind, then cascading down into your chest, your abdomen, your legs, your feet. This is the golden in golden breath switch, not a color you're imagining for fun, but a frequency you're aligning with. Gold has long been the symbol of purified consciousness, incorruptible and radiant. Step 3. The will infusion. At the top of your inhale, hold the breath for a count of 4. In that pause, state your intention clearly in your mind, not as a plea, but as a command already fulfilled. For example, I am now aligned with the opportunity that brings my purpose into greater power. The wording must be affirmative, present, and precise. This is the knowing and the willing fused in one thought. Step 4. The exhale projection. Exhale through your mouth to a count of 4, imagining the golden light now carrying your command outward, through your skin, beyond your body, into the field that surrounds and interpenetrates all things. See it expanding into the room, the city, the planet, however far you choose. Feel the exhale as a release of your will into the fabric of reality. Step 5. The lock-in. At the bottom of the exhale, pause again for a count of 4. This is where you anchor the projection. In your mind, say, "It is done." Not "it will be done." Not "I hope." Done. You are stamping the pattern into the field with finality. Step 6. Repeat for 3 cycles. One cycle sets the intention, the second stabilizes it, the third locks it in. In Hermetic training, 3 is the number of completion, the trinity of knowing, willing, and manifesting. More cycles can be used for complex workings, but 3 is your minimum for potency. What happens when you practice this daily is subtle at first. The field feels more responsive, your coincidences align more often, resistance to your goals seems to soften. Over time, the golden breath switch becomes your go-to lever. You stop hoping for reality to bend and start experiencing the world shifting around you with unnerving speed. The elite never leave this to chance. Watch any high performer who seems almost unnaturally composed before a critical decision. They're controlling their breath. They're aligning their inner state before they act. Because they know that action without aligned energy is just noise. Now here's the part most people miss. Your breath is also how the field communicates back to you. Pay attention after your projection, the impulses, the sudden ideas, the subtle nudges in your environment. The breath isn't a one-way command, it's a two-way channel. When you listen as intently as you project, you'll start catching instructions you didn't think yourself, the field responding with your next step. This is the moment when hermetic practice stops being theory and becomes dialogue. You speak, the universe answers. You project, the world rearranges. And each cycle of this dialogue reinforces the truth. You are not separate from the field. You are the field, condensed into form, learning to move itself. But some people will hear all this and still ask, isn't this just placebo? Isn't it just in my head? Which is fine. Doubt is part of the process. But the Hermetic masters never needed blind faith. They had evidence. And today, modern science, from quantum physics to neuroscience, is catching up with what the Corpus Hermeticum declared millennia ago. So before we move into your role as the full authority of your own energy, let's bridge the gap between the ancient and the modern and see how the lab is finally confirming the temple. Quantum proof and mind science. Physicists and psychologists are finally confirming what Hermetic masters have been teaching for thousands of years. Reality doesn't just exist out there, fixed and independent of you. It responds, it shifts, it reflects. And your mind, your focused, intentional awareness, is one of the primary drivers of that shift. In the ancient temples, this was taught as law. All is mind. In the lab, it shows up as something called the observer effect. If you've ever heard of the famous double-slit experiment, you know the gist. Subatomic particles behave differently when they're observed. When no one is looking, they act like waves, infinite possibilities. When observed, they collapse into a particle, a single, concrete state. In other words, the act of observation changes the outcome. Hermeticists would nod and say, of course it does. The Corpus Hermeticum says the universe is a living mind, and that the part of that mind within you can influence the whole. Modern physics says consciousness isn't just along for the ride, it's entangled with the fabric of reality. And that word entangled isn't poetic fluff, it's a real phenomenon. In quantum entanglement, two particles remain linked, so that whatever happens to one instantly affects the other, no matter how far apart they are. Change the state of one, and the other shifts too. Now imagine if your mind, your breath, your emotional state are all entangled with the field around you. When you shift your inner state, you shift your connection to everything in that field. You don't have to push on reality from the outside. You alter it from within, and the change ripples outward. Neuroscience backs this up in its own way. Your brain is an electrochemical organ. Every thought, every feeling, fires specific neural pathways, creating measurable electromagnetic patterns. EEG machines pick them up easily. And here's where it gets interesting. When you focus on a thought with emotion behind it, the signal is stronger, more coherent. That coherence doesn't stop at your skull, it extends into your electromagnetic field. The same one measured by heart rate variability devices and sensitive magnetometers. The HeartMath Institute has spent decades studying this. They've shown that the heart's electromagnetic field is not only the largest in the body, but that it responds instantly to your emotional state. Shift from frustration to gratitude, and your field changes in real time. More than that, when people nearby are hooked up to the same monitors, their systems begin to synchronize with yours. This is science catching up to what hermeticists called the sympathetic principle. Like influences like resonance spreads. And psychology. It offers another layer, the reticular activating system, RAS, in your brainstem. This network filters the billions of bits of sensory data coming at you every second and decides what to let into your conscious awareness. What trains the RAS? Your dominant thoughts, beliefs, and expectations. If you consistently focus on opportunities, your RAS flags them in your environment. If you fixate on obstacles, you'll notice them everywhere. Here's the kicker. Your RAS doesn't distinguish between reality and vivid imagination. This is why visualization, combined with the golden breath switch trademark, works. You're training the filter to recognize and prioritize the reality you've chosen. Once the RAS is tuned, the actions you take and the coincidences you encounter align with that choice. When you put all this together, quantum observation, electromagnetic coherence, psychological filtering, you have a modern, measurable framework for the hermetic claim that to know it and to will it is to move the world. You're not bending reality by magic tricks. You're aligning your inner system with the fundamental mechanics of the outer one. This is why the old masters didn't waste time debating whether the laws worked. They practiced them until the results were undeniable. And this is why the elite still practice them, quietly, without the ceremonial robes or mystical language, under the guise of performance breathing, focus training, mental rehearsal. Strip away the rebranding, and you'll find the same hermetic principles humming underneath. Here's the challenge. Most people hear this and nod, but never move beyond theory. They collect quotes, they share videos, they talk about energy, but they don't own their role in the process. They still act like reality is something happening to them, instead of something they're generating in real time. Once you understand the science, there's only one move left. Claim the authority that's been yours all along. Become the author, not the reader, of your life's script. That means not just projecting into the field, but deciding, consciously, moment by moment, what you will allow in, what you will transform, and what you will create. And when you make that shift, when you stop acting like a guest in your own reality, you step into a different category of being. You join the small percentage of people who operate as their own energetic authority. Not just protected, not just empowered, but sovereign. That's where we're going next. From elite secret to your birthright. For thousands of years, this power was never meant to reach you. Until now. It wasn't that you were too weak to use it. It wasn't that the human mind couldn't handle the responsibility. It was that if enough people understood how to claim their role as conscious creators, no elite system, no empire, no ruling class could keep its grip. And so the principles of hermetic energy control stayed in locked libraries, whispered in temples, and passed only to those deemed safe to initiate. Safe didn't mean worthy. Safe meant controllable. The irony? They've been using your birthright to build their world all along. Think about what you've seen so far. The knowing and the willing, the sealing of your field, the transmutation loop, the golden breath switch, and the science that confirms it all. This isn't a new trend. It's the original operating system of human reality. Every empire, every dynasty, every secret society worth the name has practiced some form of it. They simply wrapped it in enough mystery or bureaucracy to keep you from realizing it's just as accessible to you. And here's the part they can't undo. Once you've seen the blueprint, you can't unsee it. The architecture of reality doesn't care if you're wearing a crown or living paycheck to paycheck. The laws are the same. The field responds to clarity, coherence, and consistency, no matter who's generating it. The only difference between the so-called powerful and everyone else is this: they've accepted their role as the authors of reality, while most people still believe they're just characters in someone else's story. That's the mental shift we're making right now. So let's spell it out plainly. You are not a passive consumer of experiences. You are not here to endlessly react to whatever the news feed or your surroundings throw at you. You are the broadcaster, the generator, the origin point. The elite know this and act accordingly. Now it's your turn. Step 1. Claim your field. Every thought, every breath, every emotional state is a broadcast. The first step is ownership. No more saying, "That's just how I feel," as if your feelings are random weather. No more letting other people's static set the tone for your day. When you wake up, you choose your broadcast. You reinforce it with your breath. You protect it with your firewall. You feed it with transmuted energy instead of letting leaks drain you. Step 2. Decide your narrative. Your RAS, that brain filter we talked about, is always scanning for cues to build your story. If you don't feed it a deliberate narrative, it will default to whatever's loudest around you. This is why the elite live in curated environments, surrounded by symbols, reminders, and networks that reinforce their chosen reality. You can do the same on your scale. Use symbols, mantras, and daily practices that constantly anchor you back to the reality you're building. Step 3. Act as if you are the source. This isn't about arrogance. It's about alignment. When you act from the understanding that you are the source of the field you experience, you stop chasing validation. You stop waiting for permission. You speak and move with the calm certainty of someone who knows the field is rearranging to meet them. This is what makes certain people magnetic, not because they're lucky, but because their energy has no conflicting signals. And here's a truth most people miss. Sovereignty is felt. Others can sense it before they hear a word from you. When your field is coherent, you become difficult to manipulate. People feel it, even if they can't explain it. Some will be drawn to it. Others, who thrive on control, will feel deeply uncomfortable. That's when you'll know you're doing it right. Once you operate as your own energetic authority, something shifts permanently. Setbacks stop feeling like threats. Other people's chaos doesn't pierce your field. Opportunities start showing up that align so precisely it feels uncanny, because your broadcast is finally clear enough for the field to respond without distortion. And if you've followed the path we've laid out, sealing your field, mastering transmutation, using the golden breath switch, and understanding the science, you are already operating on the same playing field the elite never wanted you to know existed. The difference is, you're doing it openly, without secrecy, without an oath to serve someone else's vision. This is what makes it your birthright. The laws of creation are not owned by anyone. They've only been managed by those who understood them first. But now you do too. And that puts you at a crossroads. Keep this as an idea you enjoyed hearing. Or make it the foundation of how you live from this moment forward. Because once you claim your field and your authorship, the only question left is, what's the first reality you're going to write? We'll answer that next. Before the day ends, I want you to test this for yourself. Not tomorrow, not next week, not after you've thought about it. Today. Because there's a chasm between knowing something and embodying it, and you'll never bridge that gap by collecting more information. You bridge it by acting in alignment with it. This isn't a thought experiment. This is a mission. And if you take it seriously, you will feel the field respond. Not someday, but now. Here's what you're going to do. Step 1. Choose a micro-target. Pick something small enough to be believable but meaningful enough to prove to yourself that you moved the needle. It could be a conversation going well, an unexpected compliment, a solution to a small problem, a sign that affirms your path. The point is not the size. The point is that you choose it on purpose. Step 2. Seal your field. Before you project anything, run the energy firewall method trademark. Ground yourself. Breathe golden light into your sphere. Lock your perimeter. You're not doing this out of fear. You're doing it to make sure that what you broadcast is pure, undiluted, and yours. Step 3. Transmute any static. If you feel doubt, impatience, or any negative charge as you think about your target, don't shove it aside. Run it through the dark to light transmutation loop. Let the heart center clean and reframe it. Send it back into your field as confidence and clarity. Step 4. Golden breath switch. Now, perform 3 cycles. Inhale golden light. Hold it and infuse it with your clear, present tense intention. It is already done. Exhale that golden light, carrying your intention out into the field. Lock it in with your pause and the phrase, "It is done." You're not begging the universe, you're giving it instructions. Step 5. Act in alignment. Here's where most people ruin their work. They project, and then act like it's still out of reach. Not you. For the rest of the day, behave as if your target is already in motion toward you. Speak, move, and decide from that state. If it's a conversation, prepare for it as though it's going to flow. If it's a sign, expect to notice it and allow yourself to be moved by it when it appears. Step 6. Observe without clutching. Don't stalk your result like prey. That desperation broadcasts static. Instead, move through your day with relaxed alertness. The field is already adjusting. Your job is to catch the moment it shows itself. It might be subtle. It might be so on the nose you laugh out loud. Either way, you acknowledge it, you thank it, and you let it reinforce your confidence in your authorship. This isn't a test of whether the universe works. The universe has always worked. This is a test of whether you'll work, whether you'll operate as the broadcaster, not the background noise. And when you succeed, even in a small way, something shifts inside you. You realize that the techniques you've just learned aren't spiritual entertainment. They are operational. They are the same moves the elite have run quietly in boardrooms, in negotiations, in the moments that decide fortunes. The only difference is that they've kept it behind closed doors, and you're now running it openly. If you complete this mission, your next step will be scaling it. Bigger targets, more complex intentions, more refined broadcasts. Because the corpus hermeticum isn't just about bending small threads of reality. It's about weaving entire tapestries. And once you've woven one, you start to see how the loom works. But that's where the next level begins, in the advanced practices buried in the hermetic texts that most people, even those who've studied them, will never see. Methods for shaping collective fields, not just personal ones. Techniques for imprinting your will into events before they even appear on the horizon. That's the next layer of this work, and if you've made it this far, you're ready for it. For now, your first mission is simple. Today, move one thread in your reality on purpose. Do it with your field sealed, your energy clear, your breath golden, and your will certain. Watch what happens. Feel the field respond, and remember this moment, because it's the point where you stopped just learning about hermetic power and started living it. The next time we meet, we're going deeper, into the hidden rituals and encoded passages the translators glossed over, the ones that don't just influence your personal reality, but the reality of everyone around you. Because the real game isn't just bending reality for yourself. It's becoming the force that sets the current for the entire river. If you've made it this far, you're already ahead of 99% of people, because most will hear this and do nothing. But you're not most people. Type, "I claim it," in the comments right now. That's your first public declaration that you've taken back authorship of your reality. And when you start seeing proof that you've controlled energy in your own life, come back here and post it. Not only will it lock the result in your mind, it will show others what's possible when they apply this. If you're serious about mastering this, don't stop here. Watch the entire energy control playlist I've linked, so every layer stacks until this becomes second nature. That's how the elite train. Constant immersion. And here's my gift to you. Subscribe to my free newsletter, and I'll send you a digital copy of the Corpus Hermeticum itself, so you can read the original words that started all of this. No watered-down summaries, the real text. The link is in the description. If you're ready to go even deeper into the actual hidden passages the elites still practice in secret, click the video on your screen right now. That's where we unlock the advanced methods to influence not just your own life, but the energy of entire rooms, teams, even crowds. Don't just know the rules, use them. I'll see you inside.